Look at where you're exaggerated in your chart and get balanced. Expanded and expanded and expanded and expanded. I do not have time for that. Overflowing with, pirates, gold. I want to know. I'll tell you, it's a struggle. It's really hard to zip it up. Hi, my friends. It's Meredith, your evolutionary astrologer. And today I am kicking off my series on Jupiter. Jupiter is such a fun, exciting, wonderful, wonderful planet to understand in astrology. And this video is going to be all about what does Jupiter mean in your natal chart. And I want to ask you if you think you are a Jupiterian person. So if you are a Pisces rising or a Sagittarius rising, you are a Jupiter person. Or if you have your sun or moon in Sagittarius or Pisces, you are also a Jupiterian person. I want you to think about other ways in which you might qualify to be a Jupiterian, where your chart is highly emphasized on Jupiter. And you may not even know that you are a Jupiter person and influenced greatly by Jupiter. So we're going to go deep into it today. And it is just so exciting because this is the great benefic. So again, if you're a Pisces rising or a Sagittarius rising, or if you have your sun or moon in Pisces or Sagittarius, this video is definitely a must watch for you. I also want to tell you that if you have one of those two signs, Sagittarius or Pisces, on the angles, so the cusp of the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th house, you are a Jupiterian person. Jupiter is really loud in your chart. So if you have your Jupiter in aspect to a personal planet, so if you have Jupiter in an aspect to your sun, your moon, Mercury, Venus, or Mars, you, my friend, are a Jupiterian person. I also really want to encourage you to watch this video if you've got your sun or moon in the 9th house, which is Sagittarius's natural natal position, or the 12th house, which is Pisces' natural natal position. Or if you have a stellium, that's 3 planets or more, all within 10 degrees apart in the 9th or the 12th. Or if you have prominent personal planets other than the sun and the moon, like if you've got Mercury and Venus, Mars, any one of those in the 9th or the 12th, you really want to listen to this video and you want to understand Jupiter, even if they're in a different sign. So let's say you have Mars and Taurus in the 9th, that counts. That counts. Why? Because the 9th house, it's the natural home of Sagittarius. It's the natural home of the planet Jupiter. So that Mars and Taurus now has a little bit of a Sagittarius emphasis, and it has a little bit of a Jupiter, attached to it. That's why we don't do sun sign astrology. Let's go into this a little bit more. You already know that Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system, and Jupiter stays in each zodiacal sign for about 1 year, and it takes almost 12 years to go through the entire zodiac. So around 12 years old, what happened to you approximately? It could have been 11 and a half. It could have been 12 years and 3 months, because you had, my sweet friend, your very first Jupiter return. And then what happened at 24 and 48? So ask yourself that. What benefits did you receive at that age? Now, Jupiter is the great benefic, but it's not all good. We're going to talk more about that. And this video is just so important to kickstart your knowledge on Jupiter. Wherever you have Jupiter in your chart, even if it's not in Sagittarius or Pisces, I want you to think about Jupiter as the royalty in your chart. It is literally the royal part of your chart, and it is the king or the queen inside of you. But I will say that Jupiter is more masculine because Sagittarius is masculine. When it expresses itself in Pisces, it's feminine. So we can say Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, is a little bit more patriarchal leaning unless you have it in relationship to the moon or if it's in the 4th house. However, we're getting really deep. So if you're a beginner, if you're a novice, stay with me because you'll be able to understand more. But I do like to talk to my advanced learners too. Jupiter is considered the greater benefic, and Venus is considered the lesser benefic planet. Benefic meaning benefit or goodness. Jupiter is considered to do a lot of different things. We'll talk about a few of them. Oftentimes, wherever you have Jupiter or when you have a transit to Jupiter, there's an opportunity to bring you a great fortune or great abundance. There's good luck associated with Jupiter. And Jupiter is also the philosophical visionary inside of you. Jupiter represents yours or mankind's search for the larger truth inside of you and in the cosmos. cosmic realm. It's your search for your cosmic oneness with the universe. And to truly understand Jupiter, you have to know that it is commingling, putting together both the physical plane and the non-physical plane, the immaterial and the material. Wherever you have Jupiter, this is where you can feel your aspirations, the aspirations that live inside of you. And this is where, by sign, by house, and by aspect, where you desire to constantly improve yourself or improve your situation. It is also your inspirational dreams, your belief system. It represents your ideals and maybe what is idyllic for you. It also represents your ethics. So I want you to think about first, we're just going to take the first one, about Sagittarius as the ruler to Jupiter. And Sagittarius is symbolized by the centaur. And the centaur is this unique, magnificent creature that is grounded in an animal body, like a horse body, and it has a human head and human torso. He aims his arrow high into the horizon, and he seeks two important things. He seeks growth. I want to grow, and knowledge. And Jupiter is also the traditional ruler of Pisces. And Pisces' symbolism of the two fish swimming in opposite directions is quite mystical. The fish kind of glide gracefully through the depths, through water, and into the depths of our soul. The fish tap this profound arena of our dreams, of our spirituality, and of the metaphysical plane. The fish represents sort of our cosmic compass in the mundane world. And there is an ability to adapt. They also swim in opposite directions, wanting two different things, but ultimately bound by the cosmic. So you can see both of these signs, Sagittarius and Pisces, have a depth to them. And I have a lot of new things that I want to share with you about Jupiter. By the way, if you love studying Jupiter and you want to go deep, 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 I'm going to teach an all-day workshop in Barcelona. I am so excited. Come learn with me on October 10th through the 13th. And we are going to have so much fun. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at your personal placements of Jupiter, what it is trying to create for you, what you are creating through your Jupiter, your good luck, your abundance. So we're going to go deep into it in my workshop, and I cannot wait to go to Barcelona with you October 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th. And we are going to have a sunset cruise on the Mediterranean Sea with kava and tapas. I cannot wait. That's the fun part.
Meredith is my dream teacher. I'm so grateful to be here. Beautiful Barcelona. Y'all, we saw a flamenco show and it just tied everything together. My brain is kind of exploding, but in the best way possible. Create a community that is really just lifelong.
Also, learning about Jupiter is going to be really fun. So consider coming. This is not going to be what I cover. I'm going to go way, way, way into your personal relationship with Jupiter. So let's keep going. I want to give you a new perspective on Jupiter. Before Neptune was discovered, right, Jupiter was the ruler of Pisces. It's the traditional ruler of Pisces. It was the sole planetary ruler of Pisces. Sagittarius and Pisces both have Jupiter as rulers. And I'm not going to really talk about the Neptunian part of Pisces in this particular video. If you guys want, you can purchase my entire class on Neptune. It is absolutely fascinating. I did that one last year in Barcelona, and Neptune, I mean, it will make you cry. It is so profoundly beautiful. So if you're a big Neptune person like me, you can go buy that workshop in my shop at shopsoulnavigation.com. But I'm not going to go into the Neptune part of Pisces in this video because we are going to give Jupiter the respect he deserves. Now, we know that Sagittarius and Pisces are so different because they're in square to one another. But I can also say that I like the mutable square a lot because I do find that there are a lot of similarities in the mutable signs too. I have a lot of secrets to share, so I can't wait to give it all to you. The first thing I want you to think about, if you have a more Sagittarius Jupiter, so that's the ninth house, if you have a lot of planets in the ninth house, or if you have a lot of Sagittarius, or if you have Sagittarius and Jupiter, or if you are a Sagittarius, or if you're a Sagittarius rising, or if you have Sagittarius on an angle, okay? And if you have Sagittarius on an angle, you probably have Pisces on an angle too. But the Sagittarius part of your chart is ruled by the more extroverted part of Jupiter. So I want you to think about Jupiter in Sagittarius is expressing itself outwardly. You can see it and it's super obvious wherever you have Pisces in your chart. And if you're a big Piscean, then what Jupiter does is it creates an introversion and it becomes internally passive. There's a passive expression and you can't see it as well as the Sagittarius Jupiter. Let's just talk about the rising sign. If you are a Pisces rising, you may even hold yourself back from the spotlight. You may have a hard time even doing karaoke. Maybe you don't. Maybe you need to do a couple shots before you sing that song, right? And take up the microphone. What happens is this creates an internal or inward experience of Jupiter. Now, if you are a Sagittarius rising, your Jupiter might be more expressive and you might desire more to be seen or to be at least recognized. Oftentimes, Jupiter rising people, so if you have Jupiter prominently placed near your ascendant, I would say 10 degrees above or below, that is a Jupiterian person. Oh my God, if you have Jupiter, literally the planet Jupiter on your ascendant, leave me a comment if you do, and let me know, what is your Jupiter placement? What is your Pisces and Sagittarius placement? But Jupiter rising people, so if you have the planet Jupiter within 10 degrees above or below the ascendant, oftentimes these people are natural born leaders because they are such inspirational forces in our universe. This is absolutely amazing because I was sitting here thinking, Tony Robbins, great motivational life coach, speaker, mega billionaire, probably, I don't know. I was like, he's got to be a giant Jupiter person. Listen to this. Listen to this. This is amazing. This is amazing. Do you all know who Tony Robbins is? If not, please, please, please go look him up because he is a force like no other. He wrote that book, The Giant Within, right? Well, guess what? He has Jupiter in Sagittarius. Not only that, he has Jupiter in Sagittarius in the third house of communication. Yes, and he gives you the nuts and bolts around self-mastery. Master anything you want. Dream the dream, right? Doesn't he just feel, he's a Leo rising, I think. You're not going to believe this. I have two more things to tell you. He is actually a Pisces. So he's ruled by that Jupiter in Sagittarius, right? In the third house of communication. Oh my God, is your mind not blown? I mean, astrology does not lie. It is so profound. Now I'm going to tell you something else that's really, really fascinating about him. His Jupiter in Sagittarius sits at the anaretic degree, the perilous degree, the 29th degree. And if you guys know me, and if you've been listening to me, you have been listening to Degrees Matter. Degrees really matter. And I have a whole Seattle workshop on the meaning of every single degree in the chart. But if you want to watch a free video on it, you can watch my video called The Power of the Degrees, 0, 15, and the 29th degree. So I wondered, how can Tony Robbins have a crisis around his voice? Well, if you've listened to him, you know that he does. This is just my personal take, and I don't know if it's true. I think that he has sort of blown out his voice. And this is a really good example of how you can really overdo it wherever your Jupiter is. And if you are a Jupiter person like he is, Pisces sun, Jupiter at the 29th degree in Sag, I mean, that's crazy. And Leo rising. So the sun in Pisces is the ruler of his chart. We can see that Jupiter in the third at the 29th degree is going to have a challenge because that's what the 29th degree does. And his voice is completely hoarse. I think he's probably fried or burnt out his vocal cords from speaking so many hours, just billions of hours of speaking loudly on stage to the public. Now, whether you like him or you don't like him, whether you think, fire walking over hot coals is cult initiation, or you really love his messaging and his work, or that's not really my argument or my point. My point is he's actually doing his chart. So it's kind of fun to see it. I've got more examples later. He is very interesting because the Pisces part is very inward and the Sagittarius part chart is outward. And maybe you can see both expressed through Tony Robbins. And I learned something interesting when I was really delving deep into Jupiter. And I'm a Jupiterian person. I have a giant Jupiter chart, by the way. And I learned that there are more presidents of the United States of America in our history with Sagittarius rising than any other ascendant. And I think it's because inspiration in the United States usually wins. I really highly recommend, if you want to understand Jupiterian energy, go watch my Sagittarius rising video and watch my Pisces rising video. That Pisces rising video will seriously make you bawl your eyes out. It was one of my favorite videos I've ever done. It's terrible lighting. I completely channeled it from the cosmic realm. It's in my kitchen at an older house, and it's terrible editing, and there is no editing. But it's a toss-up between my Leo rising and my Pisces rising of which one is my favorite. Yeah, I really love doing that video. So go check those out after this. And also, I have that other video where I talk about the ruler of your chart. And if you are a Pisces or a Sagittarius rising, well, you are giant Jupiter, my friend. The next thing I really want you to do is when you are looking at your natal chart, I really want you to pay attention to which house Jupiter is in, because that is imperative. That is the subject matter that Jupiter wants to express itself through. For example, Tony's Jupiter is in the third house of knowledge and communication. And he's a prolific writer and speaker. For every single person who is listening, wherever you have Sagittarius and Pisces in your chart, Jupiter is the ruler of that part of your chart. So what house do you have Pisces in? Leave it in the comments below. What house do you have Sagittarius in? Leave it in the comments below. And here's a pro tip. If you've got it at the beginning of the cusp, it is ruling that house. Okay. If it's intercepted, it is still very important, and it is important to know where your Jupiter is. But if it is on the cusp of the second house or the third house or the fourth house or the fifth house, then it is ruling that particular house. It is the boss. It is the king or the queen of that house. So you really need to look at your natal chart know your natal chart when you are studying astrology with me. So if you don't have your gorgeous natal chart, I recommend you get mine. I can't even read the free ones that you get on the internet. You can go start with one of those, but I seriously cannot read the division points. And I make my chart so gorgeous, so easy to read. You can get one for $10 at shopsoulnavigation.com. So go grab one so you can start learning real, authentic, genuine, deep astrology with me, not just astrology that is sun sign basic astrology. We go deep into the 10-layer cake here, and I want you to understand and enjoy that slice of cake. So let me give you another little pro tip, something really fun to think about. The Jupiter ruled signs, Pisces and Sagittarius, are opposite. Are you ready? They are opposite the Mercury ruled signs, Virgo and Gemini. Yes. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't that interesting? This is the mental plane, whether it's cosmic or microscopic. Okay. So the Jupiter ruled signs, Sagittarius and Pisces, are in opposition to the Mercury ruled signs, Gemini and Virgo. Pisces is opposing Virgo and Sagittarius is opposing Gemini. And this creates the grand square. So this grand square, these signs are the signs of the thinker, of the mind, of the intuitive, of knowledge, of learning, of growing through knowledge. If you are one of those signs, one of those 4 signs, take care of your brain. Have kajava in the morning, like brain mushrooms. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not really sponsoring them. I'm just saying, take care of your mind. Let me give you an example. Jupiter is the telescope to see, the cosmic world, and Mercury is the map. Jupiter is the understanding and Mercury is the knowledge. Jupiter is the intuition and the cosmic download, and Mercury is the logic, right? So do you have a Jupiter-Mercury aspect? Whoa, if you do. That's a big fat mind if you do. Tell me if you have Jupiter and Mercury dancing together. And I'm going to go deeper into those relationships in my Barcelona workshop because I want you to understand what it means, because it's riveting. It's exciting. It is maybe the most exciting part of the chart, that or Neptune. Think of these planets, Jupiter and Mercury, as similar but opposite, okay? So they represent different parts of our mind, like the left brain and the right brain. The four mutable signs, Sagittarius, Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo, they all represent learning in some way, shape, or form, a little bit differently, but all four of them have a desire to quest for the understanding, for the meaning of life. Can you relate? Tell me your story. Can you relate? Are you a quester? So let's talk about a little bit about Jupiter and how it became so in astrology. So Jupiter was the Roman deity, and it was the most powerful God. It was the Almighty, the highest God of all the gods. It was the father of the gods. He is considered the God of the heavens, and he was worshipped as the God of the storms, the thunder, and the lightning, and the rain. And wherever Jupiter is in your chart, you can feel a little bit of this kind of royalty. He was also a visionary. In ancient times, the Romans believed that the god Jupiter would also determine the fate of all human affairs. Jupiter was believed to be the seer. He could foresee and predict the future. He was also known as the guardian of law and justice and virtue. The Romans loved Jupiter so much that they sacrificed their animals to him. And he was also known, and I oftentimes refer to him as Zeus. Zeus is the Greek name and Jupiter is the Roman name. They believed that fate was subordinate to Jupiter. Therefore, the planet Jupiter in your chart represents your highest self and your highest mind. So what house it's in will show you the subject matter that you like to think about, right? Where you find your highest truths. And if you don't know what the houses mean, go watch my video series. Connie Jo and I are doing an entire playlist of the houses, the meaning of the houses. And we've done the 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, and we just did the 4th. And the 4th, I think, rocked it. Did you guys watch that last weekend? It was so, so good. So we only have the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st left to do. Thank God. That series is so big, so juicy, so long. So wherever you have Jupiter, go watch in that playlist, my houses playlist on my channel with Connie Jo. Go watch that video so you can learn the meaning of that house. So I want to tell you, this is not Mercury. So this is not your reasoning skills. This is your broader mind. This is maybe even your divine mind. This is how you can connect to spirit, to the cosmic order, to your guardian angels, to God. Wherever you have Jupiter in your chart, you have gifts. And look at what sign Jupiter is in. And again, you can do that by buying your gorgeous natal chart at Shop Soul Navigation, but look where you have Jupiter, in what sign and in what house. And one thing that I love about Jupiter is it lends us the ability, the desire to be a part of something far greater than our own selves. If we are only connected into ourselves, how small our world is, right? There is a desire to understand the vision of life itself and to see the possibilities, to explore the meaning of our life and your life, our life collectively together. There is a deep intuition here. You could even be a prophet or a psychic in this arena, or you could live with some sort of deep internal devotion or faith. And you may have a belief system or an ideal that you're constantly striving for. This is where you are very, very philosophical and where you can be far-sighted and big-minded and visionary. I will also say wherever you have Jupiter, Sagittarius, and Pisces in your chart, this is where you wear rose-colored glasses. This is where you're gullible and maybe naive because you can be overly optimistic, believing that you're winning at life, right? Not seeing the potholes and the pitfalls. You can really believe that all people are good when we know quite well that there is evil out there. And you could even be persuaded, seduced, romanced into trusting when you shouldn't. I am oftentimes really taken aback. As I said, I'm a big Jupiterian person. I'm taken aback when somebody shows me cruelty, especially when I never saw it in them before, right? It can be really heart-shattering, mind-shattering. It can be debilitating when you see the ugly truths about life or your life or love or the world when you are such an idealist. It can be painful, brutally painful. So it's not always rosy, but there is a potential for greatness wherever your Jupiter is. There's a bounciness to this part of your chart, the Pisces, Jupiter, and Sagittarius part of your chart. This is where you might feel like you're Tigger in Winnie the Pooh, like bouncy, bouncy, bouncy. This is where you might have a hard time discriminating. I'm not talking about discrimination as race. I'm talking about discrimination between good and bad, or good and great. Wherever you have your Jupiter, your Sag, and your Pisces, this is where you're a restless spirit. This is where you want the next thing. This is where you desire to understand different cultures, different experiences, where you want to experience new places, new people, new things to do, new interests. And so there can be a little bit of a restlessness or an ADD or an ADHD wherever you have Jupiter. It's like you just want that next thing. You are eternally hungry for the next truth to reveal itself to you. And because I am a very big Jupiter person, I coined a tagline for my business here at Soul Navigation, and it's the soul craves the truth and will settle for nothing less. The soul craves the truth and will settle for nothing less. And I truly believe that. And I created that as my tagline or as the motto of my company because I feel astrology is a tool to get into the truth of your soul. And I want you, when you have a reading with me or a reading with Connie Joe at Soul Navigation, I want you to understand the beautiful, inspiring, powerful, magical, mystical, cosmic truth about your soul and why you exist. So wherever you have Jupiter, this is where you seek and crave those broader experiences, both social and philosophical, and maybe, like me, even spiritually. Wherever you have Sagittarius, Pisces, and Jupiter in your chart, this is where you will constantly want to explore new horizons. So if you have this in the fourth house, you want to explore new homes, living in multiple places. It goes way deeper than that. And I am going to do a video on Jupiter through the signs and Jupiter through the houses. But in this video, I just want you to start thinking about your Jupiter and let me know in the comments below the placement that you have. And if you are a member, a super supporter or superstar super supporter, I do try my very best to answer your questions or comment on your comment. I just wanted you to see all of the behind the scenes videos that you get when you become a member. 65 different videos. You will learn so much when you become a member. So if you really want to understand your out of bounds planets, Jupiter transits, learning astrology with me, compatibility in a complex chart. If you want to learn my personal tips and techniques reading the chart, progressions, your moons, your Mercury, Pluto's hidden meaning in the chart, interceptions, how to see your past life. That was one of my favorite ones. Come become a member. It's only $2.99, and it actually helps keep this channel alive. And it just goes on and on and on. You can also join at the higher level, get your gorgeous natal chart complimentary when you sign up. And within 3 months, you will get your entire year's personalized forecast for the whole entire year. You will get all my behind the scenes content, and you will get invited to my masterclasses and my parties, and I use my members' charts in my lives. Thank you to everybody who is a super supporter, and I would like to invite you to come and be a super supporter. It's your dollars that help me do this work. Support my work so I can do more of it. So back to Jupiter and the new horizons. Jupiter is easier to do in some houses. It loves fire houses and it loves air houses than other houses. And we have to consider Jupiter in the entirety of the chart. This is the house that will seek like constant improvement. So let's talk about a few. We don't have time today to go through all the gifts that Jupiter loans to you, but let's talk about a few of the gifts. I want to expand on the optimism that Jupiter lends to you in your chart. There's an optimism and usually, not always, but usually a confidence. And I think it's optimistic because this is where the dream lives inside of you. The sign and the house will show us what your dream is, what you believe in. The house is going to show us the subject matter or even the vessel that brings in this optimism. So if you have Jupiter in the fourth or Jupiter in the third, there's optimism through knowledge and learning and speaking and talking. And you might talk or sing or write. If it's in the third, if it's in the fourth, this optimism might come from family or mother or children. Do you have an internal happiness inside of you? And if you have a big happiness, I bet you anything you have a big Jupiter. Do you have a big Jupiter? Are you happy? Are you optimistic? Do you feel like you can bounce back? Do you see the glass half full? Is your expression in life more cynical and smart and just the facts, ma'am? Or is it more optimistic and intuitive and emotional? Do you see that glass half full or half empty? Do you see endless possibilities inside of you and for your life? Or do you fear there are no possibilities for you, right? You might be a Saturnian person and they just see exactly what's in front of them and they can be a little bit cynical, have a drier wit. Do you stand tall in joy, loving the diversity about your life? Do you want a diverse life with all kinds of new adventures that bring you happiness, glee, joy? That is Jupiter working inside of you. And if you have that, what I want to know is, are you more of a ninth house or a Sagittarius influenced Jupiter, or are you more of a Piscean Jupiter? Which one are you more of? I'm actually both. I'm a 50-50, which is really quite funny, isn't it? Another quality of Jupiter is expansion. And this is the one. So let me just go back to optimism. If you're too gullible, too naive, too rose-colored glass, too optimistic, right? Then you bet all your money, you take your life savings, you go down to the casino, you bet it all on black 6 on the roulette table and you lose it all. You've got to look at both sides of the coin. So Jupiter wants to bring you the good fortune, the good luck, the optimism, the good qualities, but it can have a double-edged sword. So another quality of Jupiter is expansion. Jupiter is giant. Jupiter is big. If you meet a big Jupiter person, you're meeting a big energy person. And sometimes the person can literally be physically big, diameter or in height. So oftentimes Jupiterian people are big people, big energy, arm expansion lengths, right? I know the number one thing that people tell me when they meet me in person, they're like, oh my God, you're so tall. I had no idea. Yeah, I know. I'm 5'9" and I'm 6'1" in hair and heels. Yeah. The only time I ever felt short in my whole entire life is when I was married to my first husband. We were together for 7 years, married for 3, and he was 6'7", and I literally was a shorty. I was just a little shrimp. I just felt super tiny, but I am not tiny. I mean, he is so tall in the old pictures that I have of us. I am this little tiny person like this. And I'm like, what's hilarious about this is I'm actually a super tall person. I just look super short next to him. Anyways, so Jupiter is expansion. Expansion could mean you want to travel to Mars or, I don't know, to the Philippines. Expanding your desire to learn beyond your own self, your own culture, your own music, your own food. It's always curious. So expansion has a curiosity attached to it. And it also wants to expand the mind. So it wants to learn. It wants to become educated. It wants to embrace deep personal growth. And Jupiter is going to expand you towards experiences that expand and grow your perspective, getting you out of your small life, your small world, your small worldview, and into that larger philosophical, inspirational, global, or even cosmic realm. Is this happening to you? So to embrace, it wants you to embrace the expansiveness or the bigness of yourself, your soul, your light, your radiance, and life itself. This is a radiating part of your chart. This expansion can also be the thing that makes Jupiter really go wrong. So look at the house, because whatever house it is, that's a very big subject matter for you. And it could even be too much, like Tony Robbins blowing out his vocal cords. Now, this is where I want to talk to some advanced students. And if you're not advanced, just listen and go and watch my video on aspects. Watch my whole playlist on aspects. You've got to start knowing aspects, because why you don't feel like your sun sign, well, there's a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons is because of aspects. So if you are, I don't know, let's say a Taurus, right? And you feel nothing like Taurus, but you go and you watch everything Scorpio and you're like, I am so a Scorpio, but my birthday says I was born in May and I'm a Taurus. Do you have a serious aspect to Pluto or the 8th house, right? So now all of a sudden you have a lot of Scorpio energy, but you are a Taurus. So aspects are super important. Let me just talk to you about this. Wherever you have Jupiter, is it in aspect to another planet? If it is in aspect, which I'm sure you've got a Jupiter aspect somewhere, it will expand that other planet. Okay, so if you've got an aspect to Mars or Pluto, it's going to expand the Mars agenda in your chart or the Pluto's agenda in your chart. So now whatever planet is in aspect aspect, doesn't matter which aspect. It could be a conjunction, it could be a sextile, a trine, an opposition, a square, a quincunx. It doesn't matter. Whatever aspect Jupiter is in with another planet gives that planet a giant, energetic lightning bolt feeling to it. And you can draw in that other planet's energy in a massively big way. But if it's in aspect to Mars or Neptune or Pluto, right, it can engulf you. It can consume you. Actually, any of the planets. But it can consume you. If you have it in aspect to Venus, which we're going to talk about, it can Venus you to death. Mercury, it can Mercury you to death. You can overthink yourself to death, right? You can OD on that other planet. Do you get it? Do you get it? Do you get it? Yeah, so don't overdose yourself to whatever planet Jupiter is in aspect to. So do you like that other planet? Does that other planet work well in your chart or not well in your chart? Because it's bringing all of its energy to Jupiter and Jupiter is expanding it. Think of like an airborne illness. Just think of COVID. So you just have one little tiny dollop of spit that lands on another person. All of a sudden now COVID has just expanded and expanded and expanded and expanded, right? That's terrible. That can be the negative side of Jupiter's expansion. So is it good energy? Is it hard energy? It can really overwhelm and it can even make you lose yourself to that Jupiter other planet aspect going on. You can completely lose yourself. So if you have a Jupiter moon aspect or a Jupiter Venus aspect in the 7th house, you can lose yourself to your relationships. You can lose yourself to love. I know that might sound crazy, but there is a downside to that expansion. So if Jupiter has a relationship, an aspect to one of the malefic planets, that's Mars, Uranus, and sometimes Neptune. And this can happen with the benefic planets too, like I just said, but you could end up with too much of that thing. Too much anger, Mars. Too hot-headed, Neptune. Too much alcohol. Too much of a dreamer. Too fantasy-based, Uranus. Too alienated and quirky to even fit in. With the benefics, like if you have a Jupiter-Venus on the flip side, it could be so much money that money ruined you. So much food that food created problems for you. Too many drugs, so you became addicted to, or dreams that keep you gullible, or fantasy living that eclipses your reality. That's another version. So is Jupiter high functioning in your chart? And if you're healthy, it can be so gorgeous. But it's really important. It's super important, you guys, to see both aspects, both sides of Jupiter. Just because it's a great benefic doesn't mean that it's always good, because sometimes there can be just too much Jupiter that actually sabotages yourself or your mission. You can become too talkative. Jupiter Gemini aspects. You can be too arrogant, Jupiter Leo aspects, Jupiter Aries aspects. You can be too impatient, right? Okay, you getting it? You getting it? So I hope this video encourages you to also really look at where you're exaggerated in your chart and get balanced. And if you are imbalanced, I really want you to look at your Jupiter. Like if somebody says you're too much of something, see if you can find it in your Jupiter. So here's an assignment for you in the comments below. Tell me what people say you're too much of. Like, are you too cynical? Well, that might be Jupiter Virgo or Jupiter Saturn or Jupiter Capricornish or Jupiter 6th house or Jupiter 10th house, right? What do people say you are too? Are you too old? Are you too, what is it? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to know a couple of comments of what do people think about you? So when I was younger, when I was a young girl, I mean, honest to God, I swear to God, people actually thought because I was so happy, I've revealed this in other videos, probably my members only super supporter videos, because I was too happy in some situations, not my whole life, because I had a hard life too, but I had this optimism and this happiness that they equated that with not being bright or not being smart, because I was really exuberantly joyful at times. And so I was always a little too enthusiastic, too much. I am a Jupiter person. So, and it sabotaged in a lot of ways. My happiness, isn't this crazy? My happiness, my joy, my enthusiasm really sabotaged me in a lot of ways. So I had to learn how to rein it in. And I had to kind of learn how to hold in some of my enthusiasm. I'll tell you, it's a struggle. It's really hard to zip it up. Yeah, It's really, really hard to just zip it up and not like reveal all that joy if I actually feel it. Another thing I was told, and I'm still told oftentimes, is that I interrupt too much. And I think it's because of that enthusiasm. I'm so excited about the story somebody's telling me that sometimes I interrupt it to ask a clarifying question, or I interrupt it to ride the dream with them. Like, I want to get on the back of this motorcycle and ride this dream with you. So I ask questions like, oh, what color was the motorcycle? Or, ooh, what did the trees look like? Or, ooh, and they're like, Meredith, quit interrupting and listen to the story. I want to be involved in the story. I want more, And I'm on this adventure inside whatever story they're trying to tell. And sometimes I'll interrupt if they don't get to the point fast enough because I want to hear the punchline. I want to hear the good stuff. I want the juicy fruit. I want that yummy part. And it's not coming fast enough, So sometimes I have to tell my husband, because we communicate very, very differently. So I'm very big picture. I will tell you the headline and then I go into the details. And he goes into the details and he builds up to the crescendo headline. And I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. And you know why? Because he's got his Mercury in a Saturn ruled sign, right? And my Jupiter in me is like, I want to know. I want to know. It's like being the big kid. Jupiter is very much the little big kid inside of you. Like, I want to know. Do you have too much Jupiter in your chart? I want to know what people say, not what the truth is, because the truth is not that I am so enthusiastic that I'm dumb. It's not the truth. I had to learn that my enthusiasm sometimes was sabotaging me. And my husband does say, he said, Meredith, hanging out with you is so fun because you are literally a kid in a candy shop. You're like this little kid that is literally enthusiastic about everything. You just see this joyfulness in everything. And it's so fun to experience life with you because I think he's Saturn ruled. I think he kind of stopped seeing those little joys and I can't not see them. And I like to talk about them and I get excited. Anyways, enough about my Jupiter. I want to know about your Jupiter. A big Jupiter presence could also be, remember, on the angles, the first house cusp, the fourth house cusp, the seventh house cusp, and the 10th house cusp, 10 degrees, even a little tighter than that. So, but I'll give you 10 degrees either side. So if you have Jupiter conjunct one of those angles, really big time, super big time. That is really, really a prominent, powerful place for Jupiter in your chart. And if you don't know what the angles are, I have a whole video on the angles and you should watch that. You guys, I hope you're binge watching on my channel because there is so much to learn. I think I just got a notification that I've uploaded more than 1,000 videos. Like, this is going to be, truthfully, my astrology legacy. This is my book. You guys are getting my book in video format. So you have to remember that the angles are the drivers in the chart. The angles can go into either house. So the first house angle can be if you have your Jupiter on the first house cusp in the 12th house or the first. So on the fourth house cusp, it can be in the third house or the fourth house. On the seventh house cusp, it can be in the sixth house or the seventh house. And on the midhaven, it can be in the ninth house or the 10th house by 10 degrees. Okay. So it can be in two of the houses and considered on the angle. But go watch my angles video if you're confused about what I'm saying. Now I want to give you guys a little bit of an exercise, okay? Because it's all about you right now. What I want you to do is I want you to look at your gorgeous natal chart. I want you to take a peek at it and I want you to look at what degree is your Jupiter sitting at. Now, whatever degree it is at, go around inside the circle and see if you have any other planets at that same exact degree. Not the minutes. The minutes have the little slash, just the degree. Okay, just look at the degree. We're going to keep this super easy. Let's say your Jupiter is sitting at 10 degrees, 43 minutes in any sign. Well, I want you to go look at that wheel and I want you to see if you have any planets also sitting at 10 degrees. For advanced learners, you can take 10 degrees before and 10 degrees after, and that's how you create aspects. But for this assignment, I just want to know if you have any exact degrees. So if you have a 10 degree Jupiter, do you have other planets sitting at the 10 degree? Does not matter which sign, okay? This is what I call an exact aspect. And if you have another planet sitting at that same Jupiter degree, that is a direct conversation, that is a loud conversation, that is an exaggerated conversation, that is a big conversation, that is a cosmic conversation between those two planets and between those two signs. It does not matter what the aspect is. You know now that Jupiter has loaned its energy to that other planet that is at that exact degree. Minutes don't count for this assignment. That energy is big energy. And if you have that, it's going to be a little bit challenging at times to balance that Jupiter because it's got that other planet in direct aspect. So if that is Jupiter and Mercury, Have you been told before that you think too much? You overthink everything. Have you overused your voice? Are you too loud? Are you too talkative? Are you a bad listener? Are you a prolific writer? Are there benefits to it too? So I want you to think about good and the hard aspects with your direct communication planets into Jupiter, and tell me what you have. And if you're a member, again, I try my very hardest to answer your questions. So let's go back to, and if you're live chatting with me, by the way, I do these videos as premieres every 9:30 a.m. Pacific time in the United States, and go into the live chat and I'll answer your questions there too, especially if you're a super supporter. I prioritize you guys. So let's go back and discuss more of the virtues of Jupiter and see which planets your Jupiter is loaning its expansive and optimistic energy to. So think about that while I talk to you about other virtues. So another virtue, Jupiter creates abundance, and abundance can turn into prosperity, luck, good fortune. It can create big money, big love, big fame. It can create your financial wealth and your big success. For example, let's just talk about Venus and Jupiter aspects. So if you have an exact aspect between Venus and Jupiter, this can create enormous opportunity for love and money and beauty, and it can be a great harmonizer. There's a big expression of love, and there is a sense of generosity. A sense of beauty is really dominant here. Even if it is a square, opposition, quincunx, it doesn't matter. Jupiter is loaning its bigness to Venus, so Venus is overemphasized now. It's exaggerated in your chart. If you have a 15-degree Jupiter and a 15-degree Venus, any signs, they're interacting with one another. They're loaning their energy to one another. So I want you to think about this. My very favorite artist of all time, oh my God, if you love me, you will understand this, is Edgar Degas. He was the French artist who painted all the ballerinas, and he was a master living. He's one of the few artists that was very, very famous while he was alive on Earth. When I was a young girl, I grew up with one of his paintings in my bedroom, and I loved it, and it was in a lime green frame because I grew up in the 70s. It was like avocado green frame, I should say, not lime green. I love that painting so much, and I dreamed to that painting, all the ballerinas, like behind the curtain, right, before they were performing. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I worked at 2 ballet companies. I wasn't a dancer. I was in the administration of the ballet, the administrative director and the fundraising director for the Nevada Ballet, the Augusta Ballet in Georgia, and the Nevada Ballet. So I love ballet. I love dance. I love ballet. Anyways, when I was a little girl, I would always look at this Edgar Degas painting. Oh my God, I was just in love with it. And then when I graduated college, my mom had taken that Edgar Degas painting and she reframed it in the most glorious frame you have ever seen. It is so beautiful. And she gave that to me as one of my college graduation gifts. And I just cherish that painting. Well, I just went to Paris with my daughter not that long ago, for her graduation from high school gift. And we went to the Musée d'Orsay, and they have an Edgar Degas room. And I got to see like his original artwork again. I had been there in my 20s, but I got to see it again. And I don't know what happens, but my soul just leaps out of my body and it just like palpitates. I get like hot flashes. I don't know why. I have this connection to his art, and it is just so gorgeous. And so I've done his chart, and I noticed that he has a Venus Jupiter aspect, but it's a square. So, and his life was hard, and there was torment in his life. He was also gay, and I don't know if he was like completely closeted or not, but he was a great artist. And look at the beauty, right? And the love that is expressed and the art. So oftentimes when you have a Venus-Jupiter aspect, you can become a grand artist. A lot of artists have this aspect. You can also have a lot of money. Like I looked at Henry Ford's chart, and he has a Jupiter-Venus trine. He invented Ford Motor Company, Ford the automobile. And he became, I think at the time, he might have been the wealthiest or one of the wealthiest men, maybe on the planet. I don't know if on the planet, but definitely American. And forgive me for all my American isms. I don't know. I want to know, but I don't know historical figures in other countries as well as my own culture. So forgive me. Like I want to know who's the wealthiest Peruvian? Who is the best artist out of Portugal? This is Trivia Pursuit. Can anybody answer my questions? Who is the most beautiful, considered the most beautiful Venus Jupiter person out of Japan? I want to know. I just don't know. I just don't know the cultures as well. So I have to just refer to my own American culture. So please, forgive me. But I looked at Robert Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's brother and his attorney general. And the Kennedy brothers were just both strikingly gorgeous, and they oozed with charm. And he was running for president when he got assassinated. Anyways, he had a Venus conjunct Jupiter. I think the whole world might have been in love with him and in love with John F. Kennedy. I didn't look up John F. Kennedy's Venus Jupiter, but he probably has something prominent too. And another artist that is just so obvious, I chose him because I think everybody knows him, Elton John. And look how over the frickin' top he was back in the day, right? With the glasses and the sparkle suits. And he has a Venus Jupiter square. So if you have a Venus Jupiter aspect, I want to know your story. Are you an artist? Are you in the beauty industry? Do you have a lot of money? Did you have a lot of money and now don't have a lot of money? Did you lose yourself to money? Do you overvalue money? Does money grow on trees for you? And also, are you really spiritual? So listen to this. I thought this was extraordinary. So when I was doing my research, Stephen Aroro, who I just absolutely adore his work, he has a great book on Jupiter. And I like to credit my teachers, by the way. So if you do use my material, I hope that you might credit me too. But Stephen Aroro, he wrote in his book about Ralph Waldo Emerson. He had a Venus-Jupiter opposition. So I don't want you to care as much about the aspect that it actually is. It's just, is Jupiter working with other planets? And in this case, my example is with Venus. And by the way, we're going to go into this so deep in Barcelona. So if you're loving it, oh my gosh, go get a ticket, shopsoulnavigation.com, and come learn with me. We are going to have a blast. Anyways, Ralph Waldo Emerson has a Venus-Jupiter opposition, and he was one of the most gifted and prolific American philosophers at the time. He was also a poet. And he wrote brilliant essays, and he championed individualism, and he was a huge opponent of American slavery, and he spoke out about it. His religious and spiritual views were even called radical. People accused him of being an atheist, and I don't think he was an atheist, but he believed that actually all things, probably plants, trees, animals, minerals, all the world, all human beings, whether at this time it was the Civil War and there was American slavery, and he believed that we were all connected to God, and therefore all things were divine. And so he became this leading voice in intellectual culture. And I will tell you, he started to shape American thinking. He really is one of the great shapers of our country. And he had this Venus Jupiter. And so a lot of people did not like his beliefs or he got a lot of flack, but he was also beloved and he was brilliant. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And I think I said he had an opposition, but he actually has a quincunx, but it's very tight. Wherever you have Jupiter, this will show us your belief system, and whatever house it's in, you believe very much in the virtues of that house. And so Jupiter takes us beyond material wealth, although in connection to Venus placements, it can, or in Libra or in Taurus, it can be preoccupied with the material wealth, but it does govern the realms of our beliefs and our philosophy, and it shapes our spiritual compass, our moral compass, and it influences us on how we actually perceive and interpret truth and laws, the world. The part of you that wants to understand the immaterial plane that intersects with the material plane. Jupiter can bring you great luck. It's considered the luckiest planet in astrology. And when you have a Jupiter return at 12 and 24, I want to know if you were lucky around something. Did you find good fortune? I also have heard about the guy who, won the lottery, and now all his friends beg him for money. He doesn't give it to them. And now he's the most hated man in his personal universe, right? It's one of those, be careful what you wish for. There is a deep generosity. So this is where you have these gifts inside of you that once you learn your spiritual truths, once you learn your truths, it often manifests in you sharing them or giving them away. There's usually an open-handedness with Jupiter. This is where Jupiter is how you will share yourself openly with the bounty that lives within you, the bountiful 24-karat gold treasure chest overflowing with, pirates' gold, and giving it away in generosity. And it could, if you have Jupiter in the first, it could be that your energy, just yourself, is a generous, open-hearted, giving person who likes to interact with others. Jupiter is an explorer of the mind, an explorer of the internal world, the explorer of the cosmic world, the explorer, literally, the boots on the ground explorer, the traveler in you. I can't wait to go into Jupiter by sign and by house to see and to help you see what your Jupiterian gifts are. And I want to know your Jupiter story. I want to know, what is your Jupiter story? What is your Jupiter relationship? And does this video make you curious to know more? I want to know if you do want me to continue with the series, because I would love to do Jupiter through the signs and Jupiter through the houses. Also, are you having a Jupiter return? I want you guys to head on over to shopsoulnavigation.com and definitely get your gorgeous natal chart. But also go look at your progress chart, the Astro Gold package. That's your progress chart. So what is Jupiter doing in your progress chart? It doesn't move very much, but the other planets, the other faster moving planets, can be creating a new relationship to Jupiter. So there's lots to do with your Jupiter. And I hope you like being on this quest, this Jupiterian adventure. I love having an international audience because I learned so much from you all too. And the stories that you share are just absolutely priceless. I hope so much you will come meet me in person in Barcelona this October. Get your passport and do travel with me. I cannot wait to be there with you all. Okay, you guys, take good care from my home in Seattle to wherever you are at in the world. I wish you the very, very best. Walk with joy in your heart.